rural Tahlequah. It hasn't changed much in the past 100 years. It's a quiet spot, predictable. Even this horse turned to check us out as we drove past. But once upon a time, neighbors here had a big secret and big excitement. A car chase and shootout like this one turned farmers here into accomplices when they helped one of the country's most notorious criminals escape the law. No one talked about it, and the secret probably would have stayed buried if it weren't for a little good luck and detective work by this man and his sons.
That's where my youngest son looked off on the edge of the bluff, and we were looking down on the bottom, and he saw the roof of it sticking up out of the ground.
Joe Ford and his boys were hunting in these bluffs along the river when they found what looked like an old car peeking out of the water.
So we went down there and looked around. We kind of dug the leaves and stuff back away from it, and so we determined that there was a car underneath there, So we went up, and I asked the old man that owned the place, and he told me if I could get it out, I could have it, because he said it's probably no good.
They thought the man was probably right, but they dug the car out anyway and took it home. That's when they noticed something unusual about the car.
After we got home with it, we started looking at the bullet holes in the back.
Jason, the oldest boy, decided the holes couldn't have come from hunters because the car was buried deep in rock and all the holes were in the same spot, the back. The family decided to investigate and soon discovered their hunk of junk is actually a piece of history. Here in the Encyclopedia Crime, Jason read that a green Ford Model A two-door sedan, just like the one they'd found, was shot up in Ada, Oklahoma in 1933. He researched on and found the car's driver was this man, Pretty Boy Floyd.
The more we studied about him and learned, figured out where he was at certain dates and times, then that's what started linking up to the car. It just kind of become a big story.
So then we had some people come out and mic the bullet holes in the back just to make sure. Sure enough, they were from a Thompson machine gun, .45 caliber.
The boys couldn't believe what they had found. But now, the family had an even bigger mystery on its hands. If this car did belong to Pretty Boy Floyd, and it was involved in the Ada shootout, how did it get from Ada to Tahlequah? It's a question these guys spent the next couple of years trying to figure out.
It's like every day, they'd find out something new, or one of us would, and then when we get home of a night, we'd all sit down and here's what I found, and here's what I found, and it was really exciting around here for almost 2 years.
Finally, they put all the pieces together. Floyd and his partner at the time, George Birdwell, had come to Ada for Birdwell's father's funeral. When they arrived, the police were waiting for them. More than 500 law officers chased the men all the way to Muskogee, firing 100 shots along the way. Police lost the duo's trail at the Arkansas River. A local farmer helped the outlaws hide their car that night, and the next day, his son took them to the bluffs, where they buried the car and hid out for the next 3 months.
Even though the things that he did was wrong, it was just the way he treated the common people. He was one of the most likable persons that you'd want to talk to.
Floyd had a lot of help from the locals. You see, he was a folk hero in Oklahoma. He had a reputation as a sort of modern-day Robin Hood. They say he'd steal from the rich banks and give to the poor. He'd tear up mortgages during his bank heists and buy groceries for the hungry. So while he lived in the bluffs, farmers brought him food and clothing. They took care of him until his cohorts came up from Kansas City to get him. The Ford family solved the mystery, and now they say they can't wait to restore the car.
The last thing that we just got through doing was putting a new motor in it, and transmission and the drive line.
It's becoming obsession just to get it done. You got to work on it, try to finish it up.
Joe's had several offers from folks who want to buy the car, but he's not selling. He says after it's fully restored, he and his sons plan to take it on tour and show off their treasure to the rest of the country.
I don't think there's a price you can put on it. It's history. You can't replace that.
Yeah, it'll be in our family as long as we're around.